My moral code is find things that you're passionate about, push forward, and try to make that your everything. And when you find your passion and you really live it and make your passion a part of you, you're right where you need to be. My name's Justin Jackson. I'm a content creator, and I do this because I want to create things that will last and stand the test of time. I'm influenced by people, man. People all over, a lot of friends, a lot of family. You know, just being around good vibes, it influences me and pushes me to, you know, try and do different things and grow. And I just say I take the world and it kind of gives me the energy I need to create whatever comes out of it. In 2007, I was drafted to the Toronto Blue Jays. I was a former first-round pick in baseball. I spent over 10 years playing in the minor leagues, traveling the U.S., playing baseball. It was my original passion, and everything basically in my life was all about baseball. And that kind of ended for me in 2016. I picked up a camera during my season. I got to get out, vlog, film it. So I started my first vlog, Ball is Life, and realized from that experience that, you know, baseball wasn't exactly what I was here to do. The camera showed me a whole new avenue, and ever since then, I've just been just head and shoulders over into creating, man. And yeah, and that brings us to today. Yeah, I got a lot of crazy stories from baseball. I think one of the biggest difficulties for me was seeing it end, because I woke up ever since I was like 12 years old, you know, baseball, that was my life, that was my livelihood. That was what I was passionate about and most passionate about. And, you know, as an athlete, it always has to end at some point. And I felt that ending coming up quicker than I wanted it to, and I wasn't necessarily ready for it. And kind of had a scenario that kind of happened to me. I was in 2015, I was in my season, and I had a tough time. I got sent down from a team, so I got demoted. So that was holding heavy on my heart. Very next day, I got very bad news that a really close friend of mine, Philip, passed away. And then I had to start looking at everything and putting things in perspective. Like, is this baseball, is it the most important thing in my life, you know? And then 3 days later, so this is all happening within 4 days. 3 days later, I was on a bus accident that was really bad while we were traveling down to Myrtle Beach to play a game. And that was the first time I felt, and I had to really be in touch with my mortality. So I had all these things happening to me, like bam, bam, bam. And it was just a really tough time for me. I was really anxious after, just dealt with a lot of like just mental things, like what am I gonna do in my life? Like, and you know, I have a strong faith, and for whatever reason, God told me, hey, grab this camera, start filming yourself. Originally, I started filming myself about baseball. I thought I was gonna be, you know, this YouTube coach or something. And I realized that was just a start, and it took me in a totally different direction. And yeah, and you know, sometimes you go through those dark times in your life only to see the light. It's kind of cliche, but it's so true. Like, the worst time of my life where I couldn't even get out of bed at times, I didn't know what my next step meant, to now I'm living my best life, as they say. And I just am so happy that, you know, on a strike of faith and luck, and something told me to grab a camera, and it's changed my life. So for me, being creative was an outlet for me, and it wasn't a livelihood. I never followed it because I wanted to make money or be successful or be like rich and famous off of it. It was strictly like something that for me made me feel better about who I am. So I would say to anyone, you know, find whatever makes you feel like you know, because everybody has that person inside of them that they can't quite get out, but something can always tap into it. And for me, it was the creativity side of it. A camera is just one vessel to be creative. You know, some people paint, some people 3D code, and that's how they're, you know, creative. Just find that thing that makes you more passionate than anything, you know, that kind of changes the way that you see the world and you view the world. Like, find that thing that you wake up thinking about and you go to bed pondering about how to get better at. And when you find that, you'll be good to go. My biggest goal in life, you know, I think sometimes, you know, people have physical goals. Like, of course, one day I'd love to, you know, produce something that's on Netflix or produce something that people go and pay money to go watch. But for me, the biggest thing is to always take whatever I'm doing and get it to the next level, make it better. And sometimes I'm a little obsessive about that. You know, sometimes I'm too much of a perfectionist, but I just think if I can make whatever I do next better than my last and push the envelope, whether that's, you know, editing wise or production quality or, you know, just storytelling, if I can just do something better than I did last time, that's my goal. Because I've learned that long-term goals are important because you need to have a final destination that you're looking at, but you've got to have that roadmap and have it built out so that you can get from A to B to C to D, you know, eventually to letter Z or wherever you're headed. But you've got to make those short-term goals your most important ones. Something I've currently jumped into that's been really exciting. So I do a lot of wedding films. I've been shooting weddings. I've done some music video stuff. You know, those have been a lot of fun to do, but I'm embarking in a new YouTube journey. I started out vlogging, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I've got this thing called Cinematology 101, and it's basically a vlog, documentary / my life and how I view and see things. And it's through my camera lens, you know. So I started on that journey, and I put out my first episode a day ago. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how that, you know, develops and what direction it goes, because it's just another fun, creative outlet for me. If there were 3 people that I could sit down and have dinner with, I think number 1 would be Tupac, and mainly for what he did to music. And he was a poet, he was an artist, the highest level. He was the voice of people that didn't have a voice. He's just one of the most interesting people to me and one of the hardest working musicians to me. Secondly would probably be Derek Jeter. To me, he's my favorite all-time baseball player and who I modeled my career after and wanted to kind of live up to that kind of standard. And then thirdly, it would be Casey Neistat. And the reason I say this is when I got in and I embarked on my YouTube journey, I watched him every single day in his new daily vlogs, and he would do things and I would research, how did he do that camera cut, or how did he do this you know, crazy transition or time lapses. And I think that was kind of where I got my basis for how I started to film through him. So I would love to sit down and talk to him a little bit about his passion, his creativity. So fashion for me, it's very important. To me, if you dress and you feel good about how you look and whatever you put on, you're gonna feel more confident in what you're doing. It was like that for me on the baseball field. I made sure my cleats were clean and my jersey was perfectly tucked in and all that, because it made me feel good as an athlete. And then when I stepped off the field, same thing, whether it be the freshest pair of kicks or, you know, just a nice fitting suit. It makes you feel good and it makes you step out there and bring your best when it's time to go play and whatever you're doing.